Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Quilt-Cam, the January 14th of 2016 edition. I'm really excited that you're here tonight because I am going to give these basket blocks another try. If you were with me last week before I left for South Carolina, it was just, I couldn't sew anything right to save my life. And that just lets us know that we all have days where nothing goes right. And you just have to laugh and smile and slow down and sometimes put it away and come back another time. And you just might find that the problem is not as bad as you thought it was. What was my problem? I should have saved the wrong one, but I fixed it. These little units here, I had on this side. These two units, I had on this side, which turned the triangles instead of straight up and down, put them sideways. And while that looked like a basket block, it was not the basket block I was shooting for. If you're interested in this basket block, it's from my March-April 2011 Quilt Maker magazine Addicted to Scraps column. So check your previous magazines. You may just have it. It's a traditional basket block. And I am using bonus triangles to make this. I've got all of these leftover triangles from various projects. Anytime there is a stitch and flip where you sew the diagonal and you fold that over, before I cut the extra fabric from underneath, I will sew a second seam so that I can save those bonus triangles. And that's what's going into these blocks. Along with those bonus triangles, I need a couple of plain triangles that are not sewn. So these two neutral triangles I have cut. This little square up here I've also cut. I've got those ready on the side. And a couple of rectangles, I've got those cut. And then one more square goes down here at the bottom. All of my parts are here with me tonight. So let's see how I can screw it up again. Because if anybody can, I will. I've loved these scrappy baskets ever since I put them in my column. And it's one of those things that I've had on my back burner for a long time. I just think they're going to make a really fun quilt. And so that's my goal for the next maybe, who knows, few months worth of quilt cams. I need a ton of blocks. So we're going to do that. This one here, we got up to this status. You can see I've pinned some parts on here. What I have pinned to this one are the little basket feet that go down at the bottom. I'll put on my design board here. Two little feet go down here at the bottom. And out of the entire block, these are the only two things that I want matching. I don't want the feet to be different from each other. So the backgrounds can be different, but these two triangles I want to be the same to kind of give it a little bit of balance, that little basket sitting on its matching feet right there. If this is your first time following along with Quilt-Cam, I want to welcome you. We don't do this on any normal regular schedule. I do it when I'm home and not traveling, and when the hubby is out playing tennis, as he is tonight. That gives me a night home to turn on the camera in my studio and be sewing at a time where I would normally be trying to catch some family time and doing some hand stitching up in the living room. But tonight, I'm down here in the studio with my 1950s mint green Supernova Ultra. She's made by Neki. Neki was one of the awesome sewing machine makers of the 1950s. They still are made today. They're not made in Italy anymore. This one was made in Italy, and it runs like a very, very smooth race car. I'll be sewing on her. If you have any pictures you want to share with me or any emails, questions, whatever it is, feel free to send those directly to my email at quiltville@gmail.com, especially if you have a picture you want to send. I can answer questions that you leave on the blog in the comments section at quiltville.blogspot.com. Those will show up in my email and I can read those. If you're watching on Google Hangouts Live, I can answer those questions because they also show up on my email. What I can't answer is if you leave a comment on Facebook or Instagram or something like that, because I'm not in those programs right now. I'm just here with Google Hangouts and I need things to show up in my inbox. You can hear my inbox pinging right now. If you want to share a photo, you're going to have to email it. So again, that address is Quiltville, QUILTVILLE @gmail.com. Let's see who's tuning in tonight with us. Looks like it sent me a reminder. Yes, you have Quilt-Cam at 9. Okay, I remember. Thank you. I'm also going to turn that on vibrate so that it's not jingling us so much. Okay, into the inbox here. Open up phone. It's really fun to see who's tuning in from where. And the first one that I see at the top of my inbox here is Sean Elston from Oklahoma City, who says, not sewing tonight, but I'm for sure watching between life-saving at work. Always great to see you. Wish I was sewing along. And so, Sean, what do you do? Oh my goodness. Okay, so there's a business card attached to the bottom of this email. And although it says the information contained in this email may be protected or confidential, I can tell you that Sean is an EMD NREM captain, saving a life. So it's got a little heartbeat going across there. So there's something medical going on. So glad that there's no life-saving needed and that you can turn into Quilt-Cam tonight. Nice to see you, Sean. And this one's from Kelly, who says, nice to quilt with you tonight. I'm loading the quilt on my long arm. Ooh, 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 I spy. That's wonderful. It's an Idaho square dance. And then I will play with my newest machine. It's all your fault. Thank you. I'm having trouble with a name for her. We'll get to the machine in just a second. I already have a Pinky and a Nelly, so what should her name be? Okay, so here's her beautiful Idaho square dance. Idaho square dance was a block that I did for my Addicted to Scraps column. If I biggie size it like that, can you see what that block is? Look how fun that is. A ton of 1.5 inch squares go into this block. So the little units are fun to make as leaders and enders while you're sewing on other things. Let me show you her. Go back here. I got to go back, and then I've got to pull up. Oh, she's beautimous. She is beautiful. I actually have this machine myself. This is a 1950s pink Atlas. And if you've already got a Pinky and you've already got, what was the other one that you said, Pink Lady? She is in great shape. Holy moly. Okay, so I'm thinking that you need to name her, well, it needs to start with an A because her name is Atlas. What was the, if you looked up ladies' names for 1957, you need to, because that's about the year mine was. It was, I bought it from a lady who graduated high school in 1957, and that's when her machine, when she got hers for a high school graduation project, that maybe you need to name her something that starts with A that sounds good with Atlas. I do that a lot. I will find the year of the machine and I'll type in who was the leading actress or who won Best Actress in 1957, and or who was the president's wife in 1957, and I'll try to name stuff like that. So what's a great name for 1957? What was the gal's name? I can see her in my mind. She did West Side Story. Annette Funicello. Was she somebody in 1957? You could call her Annette the Atlas. That's wonderful. I love her, and you will love sewing on her. She's a great machine. I haven't pulled mine out for a while. She may have to be the next one that comes out to play, but we're going to play with this one. We've got another notice here from Jane, who says, my Winston Ways is ready and waiting for me to hand sew down the binding. And oh my goodness, that is wild. I love it. I love it. Look at that binding she's got on there. It's got all the colors. So that's her Winston Ways quilt. Winston Ways was featured as a block in one of the Quiltmakers 100 Blocks by 100 Designers issues. And then it made a feature as a quilt in my latest book, More Adventures with Leaders and Enders. So that you can find the pattern there. It uses a ton of 1.5 inch strips for 4 patches. And I did all of the half square triangles with 2.5 inch strips and the easy angle ruler. So you'll want to check out the pattern for that. Okay, I'm going to set this down a minute and I'm going to sew. So what I need to do for this block, I've got my rectangles cut here. We need one rectangle down here and then a rectangle here. And remember those 2 matching basket feet? Those will go, I know when I do this, I have triple chins, okay? They will go here, and then I need a plain square to set right there. And we will frame that basket with the rectangles, the feet, and the corner square, and we'll have this one block done. So I'm gonna lay this out right here, I have some other block parts that I have set aside so that I can use those as leaders and enders while we're doing this part. This is not a quilt that I'm going to power through. I want to play with each block individually. It reminds me of those, I don't know, those who are girls who are watching. Do you guys remember color forms? It was that cling vinyl stuff. When I say color forms, I can almost smell that vinyl. But we would put up here's the doll, and then all of the clothes would be that cling vinyl, and you could decide, was she going to have this blouse? Was she going to have the peasant skirt? Or the maxi skirt? Was she going to have the flared pants and the go-go boots and the purse and the everything? And we did everything color forms, and that was always so fun to come up with your own looks for those flat dolls. Blocks are like that for me. I love playing with individual pieces, individual squares. Can you guys see this one? How many of you, if I get it here, will it be clear enough to see? It's a Christmas print from like 1990 or something like that. It's neutral. It plays in my neutrals. And when little memories like that come out to play, I just love to play it, and I love to sew the blocks together. Okay, let's see if we can get this baby going here. So today, there's a dog here that needs to go away. Today I had the pleasure of taking a little road trip with somebody else driving. My girlfriend Jen. I met her over in Kernersville. Met her at the interstate exit, and we drove all the way to Hillsboro. I need the button on that foot. I know that my murmur if I'm sewing, so hang on just a second. So I met her in Kernersville, and we drove to Hillsboro to go pick up a featherweight for her. We didn't know if we were buying it or not. It was kind of sight unseen, Craigslist thing. It's a 1951 Centennial in as close to mint condition as I have ever seen. I have never seen a machine this clean. And she got a really, really good deal on it as far as I'm concerned. I know you can find cheaper, but this one was just primo. And so she's so excited. She's driving all the way home, and we're talking about, we need to name this thing. We need to name this thing. And as she drops me back off on my car, she goes, you know what? We got this in Hillsboro, so I should call it Hillary. And I thought, somebody's going to think that that's political for this year. Don't do that. Don't call her Hillary, not unless you really want to. But trying to name a quilt, not just a quilt, but a machine is a personal thing. And we asked the lady, she said it had come through her family, through her husband's side of the family. And they ended up with the machine, and she didn't remember the relative that had it. She doesn't have the relative's name. But I will often name a machine if I know who it came from, who the original owner was, after that person. And this one, we didn't have the opportunity to do that. Okay, so I have two sewn together here. And oh, this is where we were at last week. Do you see that I did both of these facing the same direction, and triangles need to go in opposite directions? So we're going to set one of these aside, and we're going to, as leaders and enders, use a couple others. Here's the brown, and there's kind of an orange. And we need to sew these going the other way. Okay, we'll do, here I'm going to dig a brown and a pink. We'll do that. So they need to go the other way so that I can use them together. That one needs to go. Triangles, sometimes when you're tired in the evening, just do not want to play nice. So we're going to use that as the leader ender. And it feels good. I haven't sat at the sewing machine and sewed since I left South Carolina. Okay, so that goes there. There's a foot, and there's a foot. Okay, so then this goes on here. I don't know what else you would call those triangles. They're at the bottom of a basket. To me, they're like feet. I used to work at a flower shop when Jason was little. I worked as a floral designer, but I started out as a delivery driver. And we used to have you ever wondered how the flowers at a funeral this is totally off subject, get from the church where the service is, and beat everybody to the cemetery. You arrive at the cemetery with the procession and boom, all the flowers are already there. That's the delivery driver. Let me tell you, it was a hoot. But some of those baskets do have a base on them so that the basket itself is not so top heavy that it falls over, because some of those arrangements with gladiolas and stuff in them are pretty tall, so it's gravity. So those baskets do have, those memory baskets do have feet. The first time I worked as a delivery driver, when somebody passes away, you will often find yourself delivering flowers to the funeral home. And oftentimes they will have a memorial floral arrangement that gets pinned into the lid of the casket before the viewing. And the very first time, well, yeah, this is one of those nights, so you're just going to have to put up with me. Because here I am. Okay, so how old was I at the time? Jason must have been about 4, so I was about 26. And I'm delivering, being very reverent, taking these potted plants with bows and floral arrangements and things like this, and helping set up for the viewing and arranging the flowers. And I go to pin the floral pillow inside the lid of the casket, and I'm pinning it in. And obviously I did not grab enough of the satin, right? And the pillow, it was a heart shaped, covered with little mums, right on the deceased's face, right on the deceased's face. I was mortified. And the mortician comes over and just helps me. Oh, don't worry about it. They can't feel a thing, whatever. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, because it's like the dead are like sacred, right? You know, you want to be as reverent as possible. This was my first up close and personal boo-boo with the funeral and the viewing the day before the funeral. Anyway, it was really funny. You had to be there, and I was, and I lived to tell about it. So, you know, those embarrassing things, they're fun to look at. Almost, shoot, if I was 26 then, I'm going to be 54. That's like almost 30 years ago. That's insane. I turned 54 in just a little over a week. Okay, so I've got my 2 sides now that are ready, and we're going to lay out this basket. And we're going to lay it out so I don't screw it up like I did last week. So those parts go there, and then we take another little triangle. Let's do a red one. Scissors. Yeah, you have to learn to laugh at yourself and at the things that life sends your way, because otherwise life is just way too serious. Yeah, but like this one. Okay. Okay, so those little wing triangles go on either side. There's 2 of those. I cut these ahead of time. They go in the center of the basket on either side of this unit here. And then we add the big bottom. Let's go. We don't like to say big bottom in public either. Here's the bottom triangle. Then we'll put the frame on the top of the basket. Then we'll add the feet section and we'll be good. In the meantime, I'm building this unit while I'm still working at getting the feet on this one. So this is what keeps life interesting here. And then you just learn to laugh with it as you go. Okay. I had a really great time in South Carolina with the Nimble Thimbles out of Malden. Several of those ladies I have seen in years past, and they've had workshops before, and they've traveled to see me at different places that are not too far away. And we really had a great time. I love those ladies. And it's always good to see people when you haven't seen them for a while, but they just made it so fun. And because it was a driving trip, I was able to take a machine with me and sew in my hotel room at night. I just love this machine. She's just awesome. So you may ask, if you saw the picture that's on the blog showing a close-up of this machine, what I've got down to the machine bed right here. And I brought myself some stuff to show you. If you check the blog, you'll see a picture. See this little tin? This is to ensure that I never run out of hotel room keys. Yes, I collect hotel room keys. These ones are from Hershey. Absolutely. Those hotel room keys have good memories too. So actually, I won't collect any more than this box will hold. I figure when the box is full, that's enough for a while. I've been using the Scotch restickable mounting strips, and I like these. But I found something I actually like better. So I'm now taking all of the packages I have of these and sharing it with my workshop gals. But Scotch now has this. And this is restickable poster tape. It's not as thick, it's not as spongy, and it's removable and repositionable. So it's removable poster tape. So make sure that you're not getting just the double stick tape that's permanent. This is removable. You want to be sure, because you don't want to pull up any decals or leave any residue. If it's removable, it's not going to leave sticky where you don't want sticky. So I've been cutting. It's 3/4 of an inch wide. So I take an old rotary blade and score the room key, old gift card, whatever it is, at 3/4 of an inch. Just score a good line. Just run that dull rotary blade, or it will be dull by the time you're done. Use an old rotary blade to do this. 3/4 of an inch, right? You got a good scratch there. Snap it. It will just come apart. 3/4 of an inch, and a piece of this on the back. I run my finger on it real well to make sure that it's sticking to the card, and then peel the paper off. I use my little seam guide with the holes. Put the needle in that 1/4 inch hole, then my new seam guide goes right next to it. What I caution folks about at my workshops, a lot of them have the screw-on thing, especially for vintage machines. You have the one that screws into the screw hole. That's great, but this is a big but. We don't want to say big but again. That's your buzzword of the day. If you're doing stitch and flip, you have to unscrew, and you lose your 1/4 inch to swing that thing out of the way so that you have room to do your stitch and flip, right? And then you have to remeasure again when you're ready to have your 1/4 inch set again. With this method, I never have to move it. I don't have to move it at all. It just stays there. And I have found that this seems to stick a little bit better than the other strips. The lint and oil and whatever would get underneath the other strips. Threads would drag underneath there, and it would lift those up. Because this doesn't have as much profile, it stays down tight longer. So there's 4 yards on this roll. So it says, yep, it says 3/4 of an inch by 150 inches, 4.16 yards. You know how long this is going to last me, how many stickies I can do? And the price was under $4 for this. So the price is even better for this. So this is what I have switched to. You'll find it at Walmart, Target, wherever office supplies are sold. It's where the Scotch tape is. Removable poster tape. So there's your big hint for today. And then I was going to press this out and add the other wing triangle here. I cut these wing triangles with the easy angle ruler too, because they work just as well singularly as they do in matched pairs for half square triangles. Okay, so we net on there. And look what we've accomplished for one night tonight. Look, Ma, we have feet. Awesome. Awesome. Let me give it a gentle press over here. Excuse me a minute. And we're done. Perfect. So that's one more added to my stack. And let's do this. What can we do? I'm going to take the feet for the next basket and go ahead and add them. to the rectangles. So they're ready to roll. Make sure they're turned the right way. Okay. So while we're talking feet, no, we won't talk feet. I asked a question on Facebook. If you've ever used any over-the-counter medication for a plantar wart, did it work and what was it? And I had like 1,000 replies. Some people saying just use duct tape. It will die if you put duct tape on it. I didn't try that. I would if nothing else was working, but it was just amazing the amount of knowledge that's out there. Okay, so here's our little piece basket top center, and I'm going to put it right sides together with the brown. And what I told everybody last week, you pretty much know that your seam allowance is spot on if the pieces are the same size, right? So this is a double check on your seam allowance. If you've cut this triangle correctly and the pieced one is smaller than the unpieced one, then chances are your seam's just a little bit on the heavy side. If the piece triangle's bigger, what does that mean? That means that you need a little bit more seam allowance. So this is always a good check for me. If my solid triangle is the same size as my pieced one, we're right there in the ballpark. So we're going to sew this here. And this is like sewing on slow motion here. I have my shoe on. Shoe has to come off. And don't want to eat our triangle either. I think we just did. This is the one thing my girlfriend Jen asked me this morning, what's the deal with machines eating triangles? And I said, it's a zigzag machine. So guess what this is? A zigzag machine. Let's see if we can. Oh, I see our problem here. I came out of the tension guide. Okay, so I need a spare piece. This was my test to make sure the stitch was good. Yeah, she had just come out of the tension deal, so let's try this again. Zigzag machines just have a larger hole for things to get sucked down into. And sometimes that means that you need to lift up the presser foot and get that triangle right against the needle to get more fabric on top of the feed dog so the feed dogs can work. Sometimes it means you have to hold the thread so that things don't get sucked down. Sometimes a leader ender will help. Sometimes turning the triangle around the other way so that you've got more the pointy end if you're cutting with the easy angle ruler. Sometimes it just means leave the zigzag machine for things you need to do zigzag on and sew with a straight stitch machine. Okay, we'll take a break here. Let's check in. I'm going to go to the top here, and Lisa Bush says, Singer Twinkie. She says, happy to be sewing along with you tonight. I thought you might like to see my Japanese singer, Twinkie, that I found for $25. She's a beauty and sews like a dream. My hubby has promised me a table for her. She deserves better than plastic. She has a cool design on the side on her faceplate and nice decals. The red quilt was an antique store find. I'm a red loving girl. My oldest son is living in Japan and has a Japanese girlfriend who made a small quilt with me when she visited a couple years ago. Quilting is huge in Japan, so that's wonderful. Thanks for Quilt-Cam, and this is Lisa of the North Woods, and she's sending me a picture. Okay, so this is the end of her faceplate. It's a blue machine, and it's based off of the Singer Class 15, and what we call these are Japanese imports. Some people call them Singer clones because the body style is the exact same as the old Singer Class 15s. I just call them imports because they were not made by Singer. They just look like a Singer, but they are absolutely a wonderful machine. She's got a beautiful turquoise color. I love her. Then here is the, oh cute, here is the picture of the quilt right there, and you can see that she's got the blue machine right there in its plastic base. Wonderful machine. I love the Japanese imports. They were really, really, I mean, look at the cars that they've done. They were top of their engineering field, and they took the basic Singer Class 15 sewing machine when the copyright trademark ran out on that model, and they took it and ran with it and improved it. And you know, a lot of the wonderful things that we have available today in sewing machines are because of the Japanese and their ingenuity. That is just absolutely beautiful. So I'm trying to read what the name is on your machine, and I can't get it big enough to see. I can see that it's badged something on the arm, but it also says down here it has the good housekeeping seal of approval, and then it has the information here that it was made in Japan. So we call those Japanese imports. Beautiful. However, not a Singer. It was not made by Singer. It just has the same body style. Sharon Perry says, Quilt-Cam and funeral home stories. I'm working on my talking turkey quilt from the Rangeley Retreat. The inside of the top is almost together, and the red string borders are waiting in the wings. My funeral home story, oh boy, is this turning into an interesting Quilt-Cam or what? Okay, so she says, my funeral home story is that when my mother passed away, my two sisters, my niece, and I went together to pick out a casket for my mother after my dad asked us to do that for him. We took the dress that my mom would be buried in. It was a pink dress my mom wore to my wedding. We went from casket to casket, laying the dress down on the casket. We looked at one of the caskets, and I put the dress on the inside of the casket, and my niece said, no, 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 Grandma would not be caught dead in that one, in that dress. Needless to say, the four of us cracked up and laughed and laughed and laughed. I'm sure the funeral director and his staff didn't know what to think of us, but we all agreed as we left that laughter really is the best medicine. I'm sure my mom was laughing along with us. I love that. I love that. What a great story to share. Thank you so much. Marie Lott says, Hexies. And it's spinning, and it's waiting to open up here. Okay, it says, this is Marie in Atlanta. Hi, Marie. She says, I'm making my very first Hexies tonight while watching Quilt-Cam. After seeing how you work on Hexies when you travel, I decided I needed to learn how to make them too. I think they'll be fun to play with when I'm hanging out with the hubster in the evening listening to his favorite Pandora station. Thanks for your inspiration. I'm so happy that you are. I'm in the process of cutting myself many, many more neutral Hexies, because those of you who weren't here last time may not remember, I had a quart-size Ziploc bag, about half full, and I left it on the plane. It's not in my stuff. It wasn't in my busy bag. I've checked everything, and the only thing I can think of is that when I got out of my seat in Dallas, that I left it behind. And so happy Hexies wherever you are. Okay, Jan Kopis says, bonus triangles from Grand Illusion. Oh, very cool. It's got sewing machines in it. I put the bonus triangles from Grand Illusion to good use. Found some really cute sewing fabric and made bear paw blocks. Thanks for all you do for us groupies. And she's sharing a close-up here. See if I can biggie size that. The sewing machine and the spools are just really, really cool. So those are her blocks. And the half square bonus triangles came from her Grand Illusion quilt. So anytime that you do a stitch and flip, do what you can to say, you've already got those fabrics right sides together, so we know you already like them that way. Go ahead and sew them and see what you can come up with. It's like a free quilt in the process. I love that sewing machine fabric. So here's the whole quilt. See if I can make it fit the screen here. So she's got it in rows. Too much light. I got to see if it'll focus there. Sometimes the camera doesn't like to focus on what's on my phone. It's beautiful. I love that. That's fun. That sewing machine fabric, I got to find some of that. Beautiful. Okay. Sherry Dawn says, string spider web. Oh, very cute. Thank you for Quilt-Cam tonight and for making me laugh out loud over flower deliveries. You know, the worst day, the worst day for the floral industry, or the worst few days, Mother's Day week. It was just, we would start at like 7 in the morning and 10 o'clock at night. We're still making arrangements. We're still making deliveries. We begged to deliver things a couple of days ahead of time, because trying to have everything delivered on the Saturday for Mother's Day is just not, just wasn't possible. But we would do fun things, like we'd play the music up loud, and we'd have pizza delivered, and we'd make it a party. And I have really, really good memories of working in that flower shop. She says, we just pulled down our employee quilt show at the shop where I work. Mine was the string spider web pattern from your website I called Periwinkle Stars. It was so fun to make. Thanks for the pattern. And she's got it. See, if I turn sideways, I think I can get bigger here. But she did. She used kind of a periwinkle as her inner background, and then that darker purpley periwinkle as the border. Isn't that pretty? Periwinkle is one of those colors that everything looks good against. I really love it. That is just beautiful, Sherry. Great job. And then this one, boy, holy cow, we got all these down here. You guys, I am just going, I'm going through this. Let's see, Mary Wallace says, I love Quilt-Cam. Mary Willis. She says, hi, Bonnie, no head cameras or closed caption required. Happy to catch you live on Quilt-Cam tonight. I'm cutting strips for a future Sister's Choice. Thank you. And that's Mary in Boston, where things are they very, very cold? Hopefully you're not getting as much snow as you did last year, Mary. I was able to see Mary just this last fall. Rhonda Harvey says, yay for Quilt-Cam. Hi, Bonnie, not quilting because I cut out all of my neutrals on clue number 4, and my right hand is hurting. It's swollen from that and a cold front coming through. But we'll finish clue 4 this 4-day weekend, and that's love you from Rhonda. So she's still working on her Alyatare. Have you printed all your clues? Because on February 1st, that becomes an edited regular pattern. It won't be in 6 parts anymore. It's going to be edited down as a regular pattern, and it will be in the download section of my website. So print those parts unless you don't want to save the paper and the ink and just get it as a download later. Grammy Dwin says, still want the gray strips. Have some if you're still in need. Honey, I'll take your strips if you want to send some. You wouldn't believe the variety that has come in. And the thing that has made me feel the absolute best was the little notes that you've handwritten and stuck in there about what working on the mystery quilts has done for you, how things are and how it helps you through the holidays, or how you've enjoyed being pushed out of your box or enjoyed being forced to work with what you have on hand. If you missed the call, I am planning on my next book down the pipeline, not the one that's coming out in September, but I'm already working on the quilts for the one after that. And I loved the variety of grays so much from what showed up in the Alyatare quilt that I said, and this is funny because I said, you know, if you have a couple of strips still left on your cutting table, if you wouldn't mind putting a couple. In my book, means like 2, okay, strips in an envelope, regular stamp, you know, regular stamp, couple of strips, and just send them to me. I'd be happy to include them because I want to do a quilt that focuses on gray strings. I think the variety would be wonderful. And gray is something I really don't have a lot of strings in. I have some fat quarters, but I've mostly had to buy yardage for things. So I don't have a lot of variety. And I was looking for some variety just to throw in. Okay, I've had 2 tubs of envelopes this week. 2 tubs, you know, the USPS postal tubs. And they weren't just a couple of strips. People were sending fat quarters. They're sending hunks and chunks and a whole variety of stuff. And the notes are wonderful. And pictures of your quilts are coming along with the strips. This was the quilt that these strips were used with. I'm happy to have you take them away. So it's been really fun. And I think that there'll be more than one quilt with gray strings in it. But if you want to send me some, absolutely. Just send me an email and I will get you my address, okay? No pressure there, but if you really, really want to send some, I'd be happy to include them in. Okay. So this one is from Teresa, who says, yay for Quilt-Cam. Greetings from London, Ontario, Canada. So hello, Canada. She says, so glad to see you tonight. I don't have any pictures tonight, but I do have my Alyatare blocks done and together. So I'm deciding on which borders now. She says, you're looking good, girl. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Let's see what we can do here. I've got the feet on. Here's our feet. Okay, so this one goes on the basket. This one gets a square on the end. So sometimes I find myself working on a second block, building the second block as the leaders and enders for the first block. Trim dog ears here. Sometimes I can trim the dog ears before I even press it open. So here's the center. Pretty good. I was really impressed. The seam allowance was in the right place and these units were the same size as each other. Now the trick is, this is what I did. This is the way it was supposed to go, but this is what I ended up doing last week. And so all the triangles went, do you see how they're going the same, they're leaning the same direction? It made a different basket block, but these ones are going to go over here, which means that this one goes here. Or that's not the one. Maybe it's this one. Okay. And then that needs a plain square. Sometimes there's too many choices and then it's hard to choose. And then those feet will go on either side of this. So we're going to put this part together. I was talking to my friend. She says, how much sewing do you really get done during Quilt-Cam? Not much, but I sure enjoy it anyway. Okay, so we're going to put this one on here. And this machine just goes through like butter. Okay, so this is one of the feet sections. All right, and we're going to go a little faster. The fake leader ender. My tabletop's too much of a mess, and my tumblers are over there. So my plan is for the weekend, I don't know what you've got planned, but tomorrow after our blog post goes live, I'm packing up the van, and I'm headed to the mountains. We're supposed to get snow on Sunday, and as much as I really, really hate winter and hate being out in it, I've always liked having snow for my birthday. I don't know what it is. So any snow can come by January 23rd, and then it can quickly depart by February 1st, because by then I'm done. Okay. Fakey leader ender. Bonnie's determined to get more than one block done. Okay. So far, so cute. Just needs feet, right? Give it a little press here. Foot section number 1 going on. So I think I need about 100 of these baskets if I'm going to do what I want to do. They're really tiny. They're only 6 inches. I love 6-inch blocks. And I feel like I'm really, really guilty cheating here. I should be pulling those tumblers over. Cute. Okay. And then this section going on, matching feet. The only thing that matches in this block, the only thing that's 2 of a kind are the feet. That nested real well. Okay, press that out. Ta-da! We did it! When I cleaned out, you see that? You can see those 2 doors behind me on that cabinet back there? That's the hidden from the world parts graveyard as far as bonus triangles, leftover this, that, the other thing in there. And I pulled out all of the bonus triangles trying to figure out what I could do, because if they've been bonus triangles from one project, I've kept them. So here's the purple and white ones all in a bag. Here's the pink and white ones all in the bag. Here's the recycled fabrics and neutrals ones all in a bag. And for this, I'm just putting everything together and making them as scrappy as I can. And my goal is to sew up as many of these bonus triangles as I can in these blocks. And I think it's gonna be a fun project. Alrighty, so we get to lay out another one, and then we'll take some more calls. I've got sets of 5 here. I think we sewed all the ones that were already sewn. So let's lay this out. I did this before Quilt-Cam started, so that we could save time, but trying to remember which way to turn these. Okay. All right, so that's how those are going to go. I'm going to go just that far. And you see, if I pick up this board, I'm just laying them out that far so I know which way I want to put them together and keep them facing the direction they're supposed to face. That's half the battle, right? Okay. To the bottom of the feed. Let's go to the very first person. Let's see, here's says, hi Bonnie, tuning in from Southwest Michigan and working on the mystery quilt. Just signed up for a class with you in March of 2017. So that's happy sewing from Meg. And if I'm not going to be anywhere near you in the next year, and you wanted to take a workshop, or you're not able to get out and take a workshop, have you considered taking my online workshop series with Craft University Online? If you click the image for the Craft University Online in the right-hand sidebar of the blog, there's a coupon code that you can put in. Click that link and remember to put in BH Scrap 30. It's going to save you $30 off of the purchase price of that workshop series. It's 6 lessons, and the price of each lesson comes out to be, with that discount, about $17.50 per lesson. We really had a great time with it. This is the same workshop series that we ran back in October, November. So if you've already taken it, you don't need to sign up for it again. But if you missed it the first go around, it was so successful, we are offering it again. And it starts fairly quickly. So check the blog for that. It's on scrap quilting, 6 different quilts, 6 different blocks, and all of the tips and hints and techniques that I can throw together for you that you can enjoy. So please check that out. And I will be looking forward to seeing her in Michigan. Patricia McGrath says, Audrey Hepburn. This is for the pink machine, the pink atlas. Are you still listening? She's an atlas, and she should be named Audrey. I think that's a great name. I think Audrey's a great name. I had a grandmother named Audrey. Such a classic name. Beautiful. Helen says, hi, Bonnie from New Zealand. So we're saying hello to New Zealand tonight. It's great to catch Quilt-Cam live. It's 3 p.m. on a Friday afternoon here, and I'm working on fixing 4 patch blocks. I had the wrong way round in Easy Street. Yes, I'm not the only one that screwed up within the last week. That's good. She says, and then I have the borders to do. It only taken 3 years. Then I plan to make all Yatare. I'm hoping it won't take me so long. You know, Easy Street, the way that those 4 patches go, that wasn't so easy because they have to be a certain way in the quilt to make the chains go. I did the same thing. Just so that you know, when I laid my quilt out on the floor to measure for borders, because that's what I do. I lay it out on the floor because I don't have a design wall big enough, and I just want it to lay flat when I measure for borders because I measure down the center. I'm busy doing this and that and getting ready to measure and doing this and that, and my son walks by and he goes, that's wrong, and that's wrong. Oh, and there's one over there. 4 patches in different areas of the quilt were rotated. I didn't see them. I had worked so closely with that quilt, I didn't see them. So sometimes it takes a new pair of eyes or somebody that's not so closely involved with we know what the block's supposed to look like in our brains. So that's what we're seeing even when it's wrong. I feel your pain. The seam ripper is my friend. Get a new one and get a new one regularly because they do go dull. If you want the easiest job possible, a new seam ripper makes it go that much faster. So happy to have you turn in this afternoon your time. Melanie says, what's under my needle? Nice to quilt with you from Huntertown, Indiana. This is my second Quilt-Cam experience, and she's sharing a photo. I spy Fairy Frost. She's working on some really crazy crumb blocks there. And as far as Fairy Frost and all those other sparkly things go, you can never, never, never let anyone dull your sparkle. If you want to put sparkle in there, put it in there. That is absolutely beautiful. So I see some reds and some purple, some black, neutral, blue, pink. These are going to be really, really fun. Thank you for tuning in tonight. So glad you're here, Melanie. Susan Erler says Quilt-Cam, yay. Oh, she's gotten an Aliatare update. Woo-hoo-hoo. Boy, that's looking very cool. I finished the blocks for the mystery quilt and I'm working on laying them out. Need to balance out the lighter and darker yellow center blocks. Love, love this year's pattern. And I really like seeing everyone's different colorways. I haven't decided on the corner triangles yet. I'm thinking of using the gray marbled constant instead of the red. And that would look really pretty too. That would look really pretty. Thanks again for everything you do and keep your awesome spirit going. And she's got a beautiful photo here. If I can just biggie a little bit, you can see the blocks there on her design wall. There's her Aliatare blocks. And I just scattered mine. I just scattered my yellows. Some are brighter, some are darker, some are more gold. And I just scattered them. But that gold is the color of many, many, many homes and buildings that you'll find all over Italy. It really is. Once you've been to Italy, you won't think. I see that gold before that, and I think, ooh, that's that 1970s harvest gold and avocado green. That's so dated. But when you see the buildings there, they're beautiful in that color against a blue sky and lots of green plant life and whatever. So traveling with your eyes wide open, it broadens your whole horizons. And now that's a color that I am in love with all over again. Beautiful. Love to see it. Suzanne says, Quilt-Cam, exclamation point, and she's sharing hers too. Awesome. Sewing here in Inglewood, Colorado. I'm working on the mystery quilt. Love the pattern. I wanted to also share my Blue Ridge Beauty my daughter and I made for her best friend. Thanks so much for the wonderful pattern. It was her first time sewing. I love it. Did you hook her? I hope you did. By the end, she was pressing, cutting, trimming, and even sewing a 1/4 inch seam. So I think we've created another monster. That's wonderful. So here's the picture of her Aliatare, and she used greens. Wow, that is so beautiful. So here it is on her design wall with greens and oranges and yellows. Isn't that beautiful? Now, some of you may have asked, why did we have so much yardage for this quilt when it was only that big? Do you see the neutrals in the rectangles at the top? Those are all trimmed off before borders go on, yet they had to be included in our yardage requirements. So that's some yardage that you have to make the quilt. Whoops. And then it will go away and you get those pieces back as scraps. But there was a little bit of bonus there. Also, at the time that I put out the yardage requirements, my quilt wasn't done yet. And I had planned this really cool border. Oh my goodness, it was going to be a great pieced border. I ended up saving it, and we'll do it on another quilt because this quilt was the center, when I put that border against it, it just disappeared. The border was too busy for the quilt center, and we needed something to calm the quilt down. And that's when I ended up just putting plain borders and gently scallop the edges to kind of give it a nice Italian Renaissance kind of finish to it. So if you were wondering why there was so much neutral in the yardage requirements, I made an executive decision partway through the mystery to change it after the yardage requirements had gone out. And it would have made an upheaval if I had said, oh, we've had a change. So most people haven't even said anything. Why do I have this neutral left over? Because you always need neutral. It's now quilt seeds for another project. We'll use it down the road. Mark my words. Okay. Here is the Blue Ridge Beauty in pinks, and it is, pinks and purples and, gorgeousness. So here's the one that she sewed with her daughter for her best friend. Isn't that fun? You'll find the pattern for Blue Ridge Beauty in my book, Adventures with Leaders and Enders. And on mine, I did everything as leaders and enders. So it took me about a year to make this quilt, but it was a free one. I didn't buy a single thing for it. Didn't spend any special time on it. It was a free one. Those are beautiful. Okay, here's one that says, I'm always looking for a name. Susan Crane in Lexington, South Carolina. I know right where you are because she's right across the bridge from where I was in Irmo when I lived down there. Thanks for Quilt-Cam. I'm sewing up red strings and wing triangle units for Orca Bay on my 301. I'm finished with Oliatare. I made the whole quilt. I just don't have enough room to spread it out and take a decent photo. Hope you have a great weekend. And this is Susan from South Carolina. So if I biggie this just a little bit, I can show you both of her photos at once. So she is sewing there on some red string blocks for Orca Bay in the top photo with her beautiful 301. And there's her folded Oliatare in the bottom. Thank you so much for sharing those. They're just beautiful. Every time I see a completed Oliatare top, I just get goosebumps. I just get goosebumps. Okay, we're going to sew this on here. We're going to leader ender these as we can. I would love to have one more block finished. So I'm a really lucky girl this January because usually I'm on the road. I hit the road and I am gone as soon as New Year's hits. But I've had one teaching engagement in Texas and one teaching engagement in South Carolina, and I am home until the 28th. So I've got this wonderful big period of time to have several days in a row, and I plan on kitting up a bunch of stuff. I want lots of stuff ready to go on the road because February, March, April, and May are going to be jam-packed without a lot of wiggle room, but my projects will be baggied and ready to travel so I can sew in my hotel room at night. Okay, going to add this one here. And then we're going to add wing triangles to that center guy. And we've got 2 wing triangles right here. And you know what? I do talk to myself even when you're not here. Okay, so we've got this part. This part. Okay, so these are the basket tops. Wing triangles are going on that. Need a pair of feet. Where did the feet go? They've got pins in them right here. Need 2 triangles. And then these go on. Make sure they're turned the right way. I love working with leaders and enders and trying to figure out the best way to assemble a block and keep the pieces going so that you don't ever have to just end your seam. It's a little game I play with myself. So now I can put the other wing triangle on this. And I love it when the piece fits that half square triangle unit because, again, I know that that's a size check, that my seam allowance is where it needs to be. If the piece fits, your seam allowance is good. Okay. Frankie Valli's singing on the radio, and it's all I can do not to sing with. But believe me, you don't want me to sing with. Oh no! Guess what I did? 2 the same. That's okay. It's a short seam. What I was talking about with you want a seam ripper that has a really sharp blade in the curve. It's not the picker part that's the problem. It's that the blade in here goes dull. And if the blade is dull and it's not cutting your thread, you can't get stuff undone as quickly. Okay, so this needed to go this way. I just picked it up wrong. Wing triangle. always trim dog ears. Let's put, I cut some pink with yellow just for fun, and I think that'll look good there. Alrighty, this is what I mean, you guys. This is what I mean. So you see that my solid triangle here, I am missing a dog ear on that end of that solid triangle because I used the easy angle ruler. But if I turn this around, can you see that my pieced triangle is the exact same size as my solid triangle? That's your double check. That's how you know that things are where they're supposed to be. That makes me a happy Bonnie. Okay. Now the foot's in the right spot. Better. Okay, so then this one gets a square. And here's our center. Trim dog ear. So all through the process of building my blocks, I'm doing a seam test because the unit needs to be what it needs to be. And so this needs to measure 3.5 by 3.5, and it does. So I can now add this guy. And I've now gone as far as I can with leader entering this block. So at this point, I would need to lay out another one and start assembling that one as the leaders and enders for this one, because I can't go any further here. I've got all my parts sewn, but I can't go any further without ending my thread here. Okay, checking back in here. Let's go back to the way top. You guys are busy tonight. And is it Butner? She says, working on the first blocks of Aliatari. Thanks for a great mystery. They're always such good fun. And she's got her star blocks. Here's her star blocks all laid out. Aren't they beautiful? I had the most fun with these. Did you guys see the one where somebody had taken their part number 4 units? They made more of them, and they used them as a border all the way around. She decided to set her quilt straight instead of on point, so she didn't have setting triangles. So she set it block to block to block, and then used those units as a border. It was really, really cool. I love that. I learned so much from you guys what you do. Okay, this one, Laura Valdez says, talking to self. It's okay to talk to yourself. Some days it might be the only intelligent conversation you get. You're not just kidding. You're not just kidding. Thank you, Laura. And this one's for, okay, so here's one from, if I scoot all the way down, Ginny from Levittown, New York. Ginny, your photo's not coming in. I've just got a big blank white square. There's no photo there, so I don't know what the deal is. But she says, happy to be seeing Quilt-Cam live tonight. Not working on a quilt, but I'm making microwave pot holders for some friends. I thought she was, I'm making microwave popcorn. That sounds just great. Please bring me some. I too named my sewing machines after the original owners. If I know who it is, I have my paternal grandmother's white sewing machine named Bertha after her, and my Aunt Anna's Singer is named after her. I have a 1949 featherweight that I named Emma. I don't know why. She just looks like an Emma. Here's her picture, and that's the picture that's not showing up. And she says, I don't know why she's sideways. Well, she's not sideways, and she's just didn't come at all. Didn't attach at all. So she says, I named all of the rest of my sewing machines purposefully, but the one that stumped me most was the one we found in my sister-in-law's basement after she passed away. I don't really know what make it is. I think it was made in Japan. No name anywhere on it. It's pinkish in color and says 201 on the side. And since my sister-in-law never sewed, we didn't know why she even had it. I named the machine Agatha after Agatha Christie because of the mystery all around this machine. I think that's pretty cool. And she says, thanks for all you do. Then at the bottom here, okay, maybe this is the machine, and it's not sideways. I don't know why there was a big blank spot, but this is her sweet little featherweight that she's got in the cabinet right there. And it looks like she's fixed the cabinet so that it will fit the featherweight. She's got it pushed all one direction and something butted up against it, and we have ways to make it fit. That's beautiful, Ginny. Thank you for sharing her. Connie Wells says, basket quilt and Quilt-Cam. Here's my basket quilt I'm working on, but these are 3-inch blocks. Making an applique handle means my triangles can't get turned around. Oh, these are adorable, and they're all 1930s prints. So if I turn it sideways, then you can see. So she's doing 3-inch basket blocks. I actually biggie sized these and made mine finish at 3.5. It was a swap that I did with a girlfriend. It looked real similar, but we love these. And here's the thing I find, if you do little itty bitty blocks like this as a share with somebody, what we did was the cutting. And then we swapped cut parts with each other so that we could each do our own sewing, because on tiny blocks, everybody works differently and they really needed to fit together. What I loved about your blocks, and these blocks also, is that if you start with a square for the basket base and you make just one block, you're going to have a large triangle left over. So you may as well make 2, right? So when we did these, my friend and I swapped the leftovers with each other so that we could use them in each other's blocks. I love your 3-inch baskets. They're adorable. So sweet. Okay, I'm poking. Here's Nola Hartman says, daily quotes. I love the sayings you are sending out each day. I shared the one about being given a cactus with a friend who was having a hard time, and she loved it, and that's from Nola. So if you've been reading on the blog, every day I've been taking a picture of either one of my quilts or an antique quilt I find while on the road. I take pictures of quilts everywhere I go, and yet I share them, and then they're forgotten. Oh, that's nice quilt. Boom, gone. I've been putting inspirational quotes, things that mean something to me personally, on them and sharing them through Instagram and Facebook, and then they end up as at the very last photo on my daily blog. So it's just a little thing to make you smile and hopefully help give you something to focus on through the day. I know it's given me something to focus on through today. And today's quote, just in case you're wondering what I'm saying, if I pop right to it, I can share it with you. I'm coming up to my Facebook feed here, if it will feed. There it is. My Wi-Fi is in the basement is not all that great, and that's why the laptop is hardwired, but of course the cell phone is not. So come here. You're taking way too long spinning. But it's been really fun to find a photo of a quilt that I've taken. Usually it's a close-up of some part of the quilt I find interesting, and then to put words on top of it. Sometimes they're funny, sometimes they're thought-provoking. Sometimes, I get comments that say, this really helped me today, and that's what I'm hoping for. If we could read that in the morning, it just helps us go. So this one says, being negative only makes a difficult journey more difficult. You may be given a cactus, but you don't have to sit on it. And here's the photo right there. I don't know if you can see the words. So these are the kinds of things that I'm trying to share and have 2016 be a more uplifting, more positive year, because I believe that being positive is a choice. Being happy is a choice. Not being sucked into somebody's drama is a choice, and you have to know when to walk away. So these are things that I am doing in conjunction with my word for the year is soften. I want to soften my response. I want to soften how I reply to others. Also, what I take in from others, not letting it affect me so much. And I just want to soften every aspect of my daily life in 2016 to make it a much more happy place to be. Okay, so thank you for that, Nola. I'm glad you like those. And Evelyn Brugg says, mystery quilt. This is Evelyn from Georgia. I'm watching Quilt-Cam tonight and trying to finish putting my Aleatare rose together. I've listened to a couple of years worth of your archived quilt cams in the past few weeks to help push me through the piecing and putting the blocks together. Thanks for this mystery. It's the first one I've attempted. It has taken me out of my comfort zone, but has been so much fun to make. Here's the picture of my almost finished top. And I love seeing it when the top is not quite finished yet. You see the edges of those rectangles are hanging out beyond the edge of the quilt there. And as soon as she gets her rows put together, she'll trim off that excess before adding the inner border and the outer border to it. The easiest way to do that unit is just to leave it as a rectangle, and that also left it as a big mystery for everybody when we're giving out clues. Why do we have 36 of these 3.5 by 7.5 inch rectangles? What are these going to be? I love keeping a mystery a mystery. That is just absolutely beautiful, Evelyn. I'm sure glad that you tuned in with us not only for Quilt-Cam tonight, but paid attention to all of the quilt cams that are in the archive, because they're there for everybody's to use. And I'm glad you enjoyed the mystery. I hope you do next year's too. All righty, let's get this. We're gonna use the cheater piece because I really want to get this block together. So you can tell the quilt police on me that Bonnie really wasn't leader entering like she should. Okay, so we're gonna put on that side, and on this side, we're just surrounding that basket center with all of the strips that we've pieced to go around. And I'm finding that I do go around, and I'm going around clockwise. And I guess it doesn't really matter. You could go around counterclockwise. It's just something I never paid attention to until I'm watching what I'm doing here. Okay, so we've got the triangle tops on. Notice they are going the direction they are supposed to. They're on. I'm going to have a lot of fun going through all of the bonus triangles for these blocks and just really trying to use just the stuff from my scrap user system. In these blocks, I don't want to cut into any fat quarters or yardage. I just want to use up my little stuff that is already cut. Okay, so make sure that you don't put the basket foot on the top of the basket. Next Quilt-Cam, let's see what we can do for next week. Maybe Wednesday night next week. Thursday, I've got an appointment in the afternoon, and then I was going to just drive straight up to the cabin from there if all works well. We'll be celebrating my birthday weekend next weekend. My girlfriend Mona, her birthday's today, and she came home from Ohio. And if you remember, I had gone to her place on Christmas Day because she's in Ohio. I snuck into her cabin because, yes, I have a key. And I set up we got her treadle machine up and running. And I sent her a video of me sewing at her treadle machine. This is your Christmas, Mona. Well, she came home just this past week, and she sent me a picture of herself sitting at the treadle machine. So I am hoping this weekend to get some time with her to get her feet in motion. And the best way to start treadle sewing, string blocks. String blocks are the best because you don't have to worry about a seam allowance. You may have some trouble getting started. You may end up breaking thread in the middle of a seam because if the wheel goes backwards, it's going to snag your thread. But string blocks are the most forgiving. So we'll see if we can get her treadling this weekend. Whoops, and hang on. I just sewed off my block. I was not paying attention. All right, so let's try this again, Bonnie. Okay. One of my layers shifted and I completely missed the bottom layer. Shift happens, right? Okay, so we're nesting those seams. This Quilt-Cam's going to live down in infamy because all I can think about is how many tumblers I could have sewed on instead of this. But, yeah, that doesn't match too badly. Basket block. I was a little bit lazy and I missed where this was supposed to match here, but if I re-sew this, I should be able to just unpick a little and fix that seam. But then the question is, can you see it, the galloping horse thing? And actually, the mismatched feet kind of sounds like my life. So here we go. So we were good tonight. We got both of these done. Plus, I finished this one. So we did really well. They won't stick on the quilt rack. But I'm enjoying these, and I hope you're enjoying these. And if you want to find the pattern for these, it's the March-April issue 2011 Quiltmaker magazine. This was my Addicted to Scraps block. So check your magazine stash. You just might have it in there. Let's answer a couple more of these, and then I think I am done for the night, and I'm going to head to the hot tub. So we're going to go way to the top. Wanda in Pickens, South Carolina says, I love sewing with you tonight. So hi, Wanda. Glad to have you. I'm working on purple sashing to go between butterfly squares to donate to my daughter, Liza. That was a block of the month. All our members knew she loved butterflies, and several put her name in for the drawing. She didn't win, but the sweet lady that did gave them to her. So guilt goes a long way. That is really, really sweet. So this is from Wanda in Pickens. So she's sharing her machine here. Oh, if I biggie size, I can see your blocks. Very nice. So she's doing some string piece stashings. Can you see if I turn it this way? Will it go? There it goes. She's doing some string piece sashings by piecing on, looks like some phone book paper, and then she'll cut her sashings the size that she needs them to be. String piece sashing is rocking my world. I love it. Just love it. That's going to be beautiful, Wanda. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Meg Taylor says, working on Aliatare. Holy cow, those are gorgeous colors. This afternoon in Australia, I'm sewing in threads while watching Quilt-Cam. This is a small version, so those little squares are 3/4 of an inch. Wonderful. Getting lots of practice starting and stopping and loving my self-threading needle. I bought Sarah Fielke's book as a gift for Christmas and really loved it. The original and Sarah's versions of the quilts are great inspiration, and Sarah was kind enough to sign it, so that's wonderful. See if I can turn this way, and then you'll see. There she go. There's mini version. Her squares finish at 3/4 of an inch instead of 1.5 inches. So she's half-sized her Aliatare quilt, and I absolutely love her Amish solids. Those are beautiful. Beautiful, and I love the idea about the self-threading needle if you're burying thread ends. That's a great way to go. Pat Kilmaine, all the way from Alaska, says, had to turn you off after an hour so I could make the meeting on time. It was fun to see you live for a little while anyway. Looking forward to seeing you at the Grand Hotel in May. Yay! So did you guys know that the Grand Hotel Needle Art Seminar, that the registration is open? And they're taking registrations already, and some of my classes sold out on the first day. But there's still other classes available with other instructors, and you can still come take some classes with me. You have your choice of workshops for that. So please check that out. There's a badge for the Grand Hotel in the right-hand sidebar of my blog, and you can click it, and it'll take you there to their to the website for all of the information for the Grand Hotel Mackinac Island Needle Art Seminar. Okay. And one more. Casey says, Aliatare progress. Oh, beautiful. My Aliatare progress is thus far. I decided to use green rather than gray as I thought I didn't have any. Cut everything and even sewed a few blocks together, then found my gray. Oh well, I've decided this will be a Christmas quilt and even found a backing and border fabric from my stash. She's sharing a picture here. I love how that stripe works. That's really fun. She's got her block. Can you see the stripes in the Santa hat unit? That's what we call the squash on the outside edge of the block. They look like Santa hats when you sew them on. She's got a stripe. Isn't that striking? That's going to be really fun with the fabrics that you've chosen. Thank you for sharing those. Well, I am really, really excited about Quilt-Cam tonight. I've had a wonderful time talking with you and laughing with you and sharing your photos and reading your emails, and we've got a good group, and I really look forward to spending this time with you. So maybe we're able to do it again next Wednesday is what I'm shooting for, because Thursday I plan on heading up to the cabin birthday weekend. But watch the blog. When people say, well, where do you announce Quilt-Cam? Where do you announce Quilt-Cam? It's usually the end of the post, because it usually has nothing to do with the post. So I put the extra stuff down at the bottom because it has nothing to do with the subject of the post. So around Monday, I'll start letting you know for sure if Quilt-Cam will work for Wednesday night, but I think it will. I think it will. Just be watching for updates. That's usually where I mention it. So as long as you're reading my blog daily, you won't miss out on anything. I've got one giveaway running right now, and that is for Catherine Redford's Modern Machine Quilting. It's feathers and swirls and stipples and filler designs. The giveaway is you have to go back down the news feed. It went live on Friday. So the drawing will be here in a couple of days, but there's still time to enter that one. So look for that post and leave your entry on that post by clicking the blue Add Your Link button. The only link you're leaving is your email. Your email is your link. So you click the blue button, type in your name, type in your email address, and click save. That's all you have to do, and then you're entered to win. Your email address is safe with me. Nobody else sees it but me. And I didn't like the way it was before, leaving your email addresses alive for everybody to see. So we're protecting you that way, and it makes it very easy for me to use the random number generator to draw those winners, which will be coming here in a few days. If you love the Quilty Box giveaway, guess what I've got going live tomorrow evening? I got a brand new Quilty Box that you're going to love. So we'll do that giveaway. We'll start that giveaway tomorrow evening. Again, you will click the blue Add Your Link button, just as it'll say in the post. Click the button, put in your name and your address. There's a space for a URL. There's a space for this and that or whatever. All I'm looking for is your name and your email address. That's all. Leave everything else blank. That's going to be a wonderful one. And we'll have some other things coming up in the near future as well. So just keep watching the blog. That's where everything happens. Unless you're following on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or wherever you are, you'll find me there too. If it's still early where you are and you're just getting your second wind, don't stop now. See if you can put some more stitches in, put some more pieces together. You'll smile when you look at your progress first thing in the morning when you walk past and think, yeah, I did that last night. I'm happy with what I did last night. We'll be looking for you after the weekend next Wednesday, and until then, I think I'm ready to go hit the hot tub and then curl up in bed and read a book for a while. This is Bonnie, live from the basement, signing off from Quiltville. Good night, everybody. If she can find the button, she pushes it on the screen.